Hi teens. Well, as you can see, the setting is a little different for this week's midweek meditation. I'm giving this devotional from my garage. Behind me is a chalk drawing that I was going to do for Silver Saints, but the coronavirus ended that opportunity. So I thought, well, this would be a good opportunity to do something different for you. The title of the drawing is "The Lord is My Shepherd," and I want to share some thoughts out of that psalm with you at this time. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The shepherd and his sheep. David starts out in verses 1 and 2, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters." This speaks of a personal relationship. That personal relationship with the shepherd comes in believing who Jesus is and what he accomplished in his perfect life, his sacrificial death, and his victorious resurrection. And the faith that we have that saves us is always accompanied by repentance. Another thing that we see is not only a personal relationship, but provision by our shepherd. David says, "I shall not want," and that speaks of resources. God has promised to meet all of the needs of his children. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters, speaks of rest from fretfulness and wandering. The shepherd gives peace. The sheep lie down. He gives purpose. He leads us beside still waters. Verse 3 states, "He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake." And we find in this verse purity through our shepherd. Christianity is not a religious evolution where we earn the favor of God. It's a radical transformation by God through his grace. We can think of grace as unmerited favor and think of it as this acrostic, GRACE, God's righteousness at Christ's expense. God gave us his unmerited favor through the death of his dear Son, Jesus Christ. Verse 4, David says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." That speaks of the presence of our shepherd. Understanding who God is determines our response to adversity. The more we know about our shepherd, the greater will be our comfort in times of difficulty. One of my favorite verses was written by Asaph, and it's found in Psalm 73:26. "My flesh and my heart fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever." My flesh and my heart, when I'm at the end of my rope physically and spiritually or emotionally, God is there for me. David goes on to say in verse 5, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup runs over." That speaks of protection from our shepherd. Romans 8:28, as you all know, says, "All things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose." That chapter 8 goes on to tell us nothing can separate us from the love of God. We can be assured of his protection. And finally, in the last verse, David says, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." That speaks of prospects because of our shepherd, God's blessing in this life and for eternity. At this time, I want to illustrate Psalm 23 with a chalk drawing.